I was wrong. Well, maybe. Hello everyone and welcome back to Rave Green TV. And you all might be wondering, Cheyenne, where are you? You're not in your normal studio with your microphone, the normal backdrop. I'm currently in Columbus for MLS All-Star Week. Since I had a little bit of free time while I was down here, I felt it was long overdue that I make a video on the channel because it's been like 6 or 7 weeks since I last talked about the team in a video. So I thought since we have this break before going into Leagues Cup, we talk about the team and my thoughts in the last 6-7 weeks at the halfway point of the season. The team was having a horrendous start to the season, having their worst start in MLS history. I said I was officially done with Brian Schmetzer. I want to see him gone. And we all know kind of the many points that I've been making now for the past couple of years with the players, with Brian, and the whole shebang. But since then, we've gone on a bit of a run, undefeated, I believe, in 7 matches, have climbed up the standings into a playoff spot, but then most recently faced off against LAFC, a team that Brian Schmetzer has not defeated since Steve Cherundolo has been the head coach. And I thought this upcoming match was going to be the opportunity with the great momentum the team had going into the match that Brian would finally beat Steve. We could finally do it at Lumen Field, get revenge for the playoff match, but instead it ended horribly. Even worse than the playoff match, we got absolutely outplayed and done-diddled 3-0. So now that we've caught up with all of that, what were my thoughts on that undefeated run? I do think we did a pretty good job, stringing consecutive wins. Going from having the worst start to an MLS season, then stringing one of the best runs in the club's history. That was good. I think that was a sign of good positivity, showing to me that this team is not quite as bad as I thought they were. Because honestly, for me, it was kind of touch and go. I really did think this team was completely just not good at all. I was losing a lot of faith with a lot of the players. And what that run kind of proved to me personally, I don't know about you guys are gonna have to let me know in the comments down below, that we're definitely not a complete shit team. We can still beat opponents, have good performances here and there, but only against the teams that are more inferior to us. Because this string of wins that we did have were all against average to below average to some of the worst teams in the league. Yes, you can only beat the teams that are set in front of you, and I don't take that away from the team, but the reality is these were arguably the worst teams in the league that we did face off during that undefeated stretch. So I think the positive is we're not absolutely dog water, but then when you have that momentum, you have to carry that into your big matches like against LAFC, but instead we got absolutely mollywopped off the park. So what that proves to me is, yes, we are better than the average, below average shit teams in the league, but we're not able to contend against those teams that come in with a game plan, have the superstars, and win those big matches like we used to. And there's not really any excuses you can make for that poor performance against LAFC. I know a lot of people across social media want to blame the referee. He made a lot of mistakes, this or that. In my eyes, Nuhu's handball was a handball. If anything, I think we were very lucky that he didn't get sent off because my guy literally palmed the ball on the ground like he was a basketball player. And yes, maybe Rothrock's foul in the box that was given as embellishment that could have been a penalty, might have been a foul. In my opinion, I think it was really soft. I don't think it was necessarily embellishment. Like, I don't think he deserved the yellow card. But at the same time, I don't really think it was a pen. It was like incredibly soft. And at the end of the day, we lost 3-0. We got played off the park. If you know ball and you watch the game, we weren't really contenders in the match. It wasn't until the very end where at that point LAFC were up 3-0. They didn't need to play on the more offensive. They didn't have emphasis in the game to try to score another goal. It was pretty much all us throwing the kitchen sink. It's bound to happen. We'll have a few opportunities, but that's not how we should be playing. We should be taking the game to them, having the right personnel on the field that we know that can make a difference and hurt a team like LAFC, where we had all 3 of our DPs on the field in this match and they didn't do anything. Obviously, I'll cut some slack for Pedro because he's still just getting back into the team and just starting to get significant minutes under his belt. But for guys like Rusnak and Morris, I've spoken about these guys plenty of times, many times on the channel. I saw so many people posting during that great stretch of form, oh, we're the Rusnak and Morris haters now. Morris is scoring in consecutive matches. Rusnak is getting a decent amount of assists. Where are you haters now? Still here because when it comes to the big matches, Rusnak and Morris, they ghosted. The thing is, for me, it's not really like a big surprise with Morris's great form. I'm not saying Morris is an absolutely shit player, but Morris is not a player that we can rely on in the big moments anymore to have clutch moments, to score big goals, to make a big difference in these type of matches, because He's just not that guy anymore. And same with Rusnak. As I've said, he's just not a DP caliber player. Again, I don't think either of them are bad players, but in this modern era in MLS, these are not the type of players that can win you big matches, win you trophies. And if you can't see that or understand that, I don't know what to tell you. And at the end of the day, when you look at both of their stats, what Morris has like 8 or 9 goals in 25 matches, and pretty much most of those are all starts. And for many years past, I mentioned this, Morris's biggest problem is consistency. This recent form that he had where we were on our winning streak, he was scoring goals, it was very similar to the start of the season that we had last year. Yes, his big bundle of goals came against SKC, but when we were winning those games against the fairly lesser opponents, he was scoring the goals, but for majority, 75% of the season, the goals dried up, he wasn't clutch, he wasn't consistent, and it's just kind of like this revolving door of, are we gonna keep saying, oh, he's back, or this, or that, or we're just gonna admit, Morris is an okay player, but he's not gonna be one of those big guys on the field that's gonna make a difference to win us big matches, the big difference makers. I think for sure this positive run definitely saved Schmetzer's job, because in my opinion, if we had lost a few of those matches in that stretch of games against the opponents that we faced off against, I think Schmetzer would have been sacked. So he definitely saved his job there. Do I still think he should be the head coach? Not really. I still do stand by what I said in that video, because at the end of the day, something does have to change with this team. We all can admit that. It's got to either be the tactics from the coach, or do we need a new coach? The personnel on this team. This team is long overdue for a revamp in many positions, and I'm like a broken record constantly always saying that. I know many of us want to believe that this team can go back to being the team of old, like back in 2019, 2020, making MLS Cup finals, winning MLS Cups. But if you're not going to change the personnel or the players on the field or the tactics or the coach, when things are not working, I just don't know how you can be successful again. Lightning doesn't strike twice. A lot of these players are just old or just don't fit the modern era of the game anymore in MLS. Change can be hard, but change can be good. I think a good example is what's going on with Atlanta United. They sold Almada, Yakumakis, Wiley, 3 of their best players on their team, which yeah, in the short term, it's gonna cripple them and they might or might not make the playoffs. It's kind of touch and go. But we all know we have that experience with Garth. Now he has a huge plethora of money and space that he can work with. And for all we know, this could be the beginning of a new era for Atlanta United. But I'd rather us, as Sounders fans, as seeing for the organization, for us to make some changes. And if it doesn't work, I'd rather that be the case than us just keep sticking with the same thing over and over again and expecting it to change. As I said, I don't think this team is completely shit, like we're absolutely screwed, we're bottom feeders in the league. There's still some good players in this team, and there's still players that can produce in certain moments. But we don't have a few players that can be consistent, be clutch players for us like we've had in the past. Like the Nikos, like the Rauls of old, like the Obas, like the Dempseys. We just don't really have those type of guys anymore. And yes, Pedro could be that guy, but we shouldn't put all our eggs in that one basket hoping, praying to the Argentinian gods that Pedro de la Vega is going to be our Lord and Savior. That's too much pressure, not only just to put on him, that if things don't pan out, then he's a flop. You need to have multiple players similar to Pedro in multiple positions that put not only the pressure off of him, but from the whole team. I, like many fans, have high expectations for Pedro because he's the biggest signing we've made since Rusnak, but that was all the way back in 2021. And can you even call Rusnak a big signing when he was on a free transfer? But nonetheless, I got a little bit off track there. I do think the run and form definitely saved Schmetzer's job, definitely helped maybe turn the leaf a little bit with certain players to prove to me and maybe many of you that they're not complete dog poo, dog water. They still got a little bit in them. But what the LAFC game proved to me, which was our toughest opponent after the back of having great performances, win after win after win, going undefeated, when LAFC, on the other hand, just recently got smacked by Columbus, which you could say, oh, maybe that will light a fire under them to come in and do well. They were wounded dogs going into this match, that we weren't able to learn from our mistakes from the playoffs with how they approached the match, because they did the exact same thing like they did in the playoffs with their tactics, hit us on the counterattack, were potent with their opportunities. They were like, it's okay, Seattle, take as much possession as you want. We don't care because we know we'll beat you guys on the counter, we'll score the goals when the opportunities come. Because they have guys like Bogusz, Bouanga that can hurt you in any moment. So in my opinion, with many of the big players in Brian, I don't think they're out of the woods one bit when it comes to them being on the hot seat. But we'll see how things pan out in Leagues Cup, where that was a competition we did terribly in last year. Our group is fairly easier, so I don't see how we don't get out of the group, but I think the main competition that we should be putting a lot of our eggs in the basket for is the Open Cup, which we play against LAFC again, and I'm hoping we learn from our mistakes and win this match, because in my opinion, this match in the Open Cup is more important than the recent match, because in my opinion, winning a trophy I think could reinvigorate a lot of these players and maybe help springboard the organization to realize, okay, we won a trophy. It's a good way to end this era of the Sounders, to pass on the torch to the new one, because we all know how important winning trophies can be. I mean, the Open Cup was our bread and butter back in the beginning of when we came into MLS, and that's what helped us build our success into the club that we are today. So I think it would be super poetic to win the Open Cup, 50th anniversary. It could be Brian's final trophy, maybe a few of the veteran players' final trophy. We begin a new era, new personnel, new players, new tactics with the team, but at least end it on a good note. And I think I'm gonna do like a whole separate video talking about the importance on why I think we need to go all in for the US Open Cup. Not saying that we're not, because I'm almost certain too Brian knows that this is a huge opportunity and he's licking his lips to possibly win a trophy for the club, and maybe his last season, because I think his contract is up at the end of this year. So we'll see what happens when it comes to the Open Cup. As I said, I will do a video probably talking about it. You guys gotta let me know in the comments what you guys thought about the opinions, the points that I made in these last 8-9 games that the team has had. Do you guys agree with me, disagree with me? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. But the final thing I want to talk about in today's video was kind of the content on the channel. Why have I been not posting as consistently as I used to? Just kind of heart to heart talking to you guys about what's been going on with the channel, a life update essentially. Because I do think I owe it to you guys to be honest and talk about my feelings and thoughts when it comes to making content for this channel. It's almost been 3 years since I started Rave Green TV, which I think is it's crazy to think about, because it feels like it was just yesterday I started this channel, nor did I think this channel would become what it is today, being one of the most followed, if not the most followed, Sounders channel across all social medias. It's been a lot of hard work to build this page, this channel from the ground up. It was a big aspiration of mine to start something like this, to build a community, to build a channel, to build a conversation talking about this team in this kind of format in my own personal vision. And I do really appreciate you guys who have supported me from day one to today. It doesn't really matter one bit. It's been a huge blessing. But one thing that has been tough, and kind of like what I wanted to talk to you guys about, is why there's been such a lack of content. I now work full time, and it takes up a lot of my time during the week. I mean, working 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. On top of wanting to keep up with my fitness, I really want to actually get back in better shape. I'm not really actually happy with how I look when it comes to my physique. When I watched and looked back at the video I did with Danny Leyva and Dylan Tevez, and a YouTuber beat 2 MLS players, I wasn't happy with how I looked. I realized I've gone out of shape. I used to be a lot leaner, a lot more fitter, and for me, I want to prioritize my fitness and getting back in shape and building really good habits and making good money, saving money. And I'm not saying that Rave Green TV is going away, but it is become way more of a hobby. Before it was, I wanted to make it like a job because I was so passionate about it, and it still is, and I'm still very passionate about it, but it has gone a bit more to the wayside a little bit for me. And don't get me wrong, when breaking news or big stuff happens, I will make the time to post for you all, to get that content out for you all. And as well, I do want to do more content on my personal channel. You guys may or may not be subscribed to me there. It's another passion of mine, which is Asian football, more specifically talking about the Iranian national team because I'm Iranian, and I post that on my personal channel, which I'll leave in the asterisks for you guys if you guys want to watch my content there. If you enjoy my content here, it's pretty fun on my personal channel as well. And I want to do more like personal content on there, just kind of talking more about more of my interest in the sport, like maybe my kit collection, or talking about some of my favorite cards in FIFA Ultimate Team history, which are things that I've actually done on this channel, where I looked back at some of the best foot cards in Sounders history. I just kind of want to do things I enjoy with my content now that I've made a following, and things that I'm passionate about. And again, doesn't mean I'm not uploading on Rave Green TV, but it can be tough juggling 2 channels, working out, focusing on my diet, all these things. It can be a lot. But when it comes to content on this channel, it's still gonna be there. It might not be as consistent as it once was before, but I will still bring you all the best content, best coverage I can, talking about the Seattle Sounders, news, rumors, whatever it may be. That will never change. I know today's video was incredibly long, talked about a lot of topics, topics, from the team's recent form, some of the matches, my opinions, to what's been going on with content on the channel. The moral of the story is I appreciate you guys. Rave Green TV is going nowhere. Just content will not be as consistent as before, but as soon as my schedule becomes more concrete and I get more adjusted to things and build good habits, things will start flowing a lot more. And I do have a few more videos planned that I recorded actually ages ago that I'm really excited to upload on the channel that'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks. And I do think I'm gonna try to do fan cams for that US Open Cup match against LAFC. I did get tickets for it. So that will probably be one of the next matches I do fan cams for. I'm not exactly sure. I'll put up the post that has the dates of which matches I'll be doing fan reactions for. I'm adding on that LAFC match in the US Open Cup because I think that's a really important game. And I think a lot of you will be at the game because apparently it's completely sold out. It's gonna be a max capacity, one of the biggest matches in the US Open Cup for the Seattle Sounders in Starfire history. So yeah, I'm excited, but boys and girls, I appreciate you all from the bottom of my heart and I hope you all have a lovely day.